All right, welcome to the Mother's Justice Show right here on KKNW 1150 AM. I am your host, Omari Salisbury, known on the streets as the Big O, filling in this week for my mama, the Reverend Harriet Walden. Man, if you're listening in Seattle today, I'm talking about these blue skies, this great weather continues. We couldn't have asked for a better holiday weekend. And you know what? I'm going to say something because I always try to keep it real, keep it a buck, keep it 100. This was one of the best Juneteenth weekends before holiday or after holiday this city has ever seen. And when our city does well, man, we need to really applaud it. All the way, if you want to go to the highest level, World Cup, the Mariners actually honored one of our colleagues, Deontay Damper, on their Juneteenth game on Friday. And then if you go in the community, you had the Freedom Festival at Jimi Hendrix Park, Afritown Community Land Trust, had all kinds of different, there was Juneteenth watch parties for the FIFA games all across Seattle and even down to Tacoma, the road to economic freedom. Then over the weekend, you had places like Kent and their Juneteenth. It was, man, this was really, really dope. And we got to see our city rise to the occasion. And, you know, it should be like Juneteenth every day around here. You know what I'm saying? In the energy of what guys moved in. I will say that one thing that's special about Seattle is that when we go all in, we go all in on something. We just don't go all in on much. But, you know, it's a lot of cities that phone in holidays like Juneteenth. But the city of Seattle, King County, all the way across did an outstanding job. On that note, because I want your opinion on this, on that note, let me introduce my guest today, Lilly Ana Fowler, Director of Communications and Public Relations for Seattle Social Housing Developer, and we'll talk about all of what that is. First of all, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, second of all, what were your thoughts on this Juneteenth weekend?
It was great. I agree with you. I have been all up in the World Cup, and I'm usually not a sports person, but our office is right in Pioneer Square. So
you're hanging out with Shaq, too, when he was DJing?
Yeah, hanging out with everybody. Cheering for Mexico. Mexico's my team. And just in the Pioneer Square crowd, like just, you know, being outside, being able to just hang out with people for hours and watch a game together. It was great.
All right, so you know it's Juneteenth. Did you hang out with any black people, though? Were they there?
I hung out with a bunch of Mexicans. That doesn't count.
No. So what I will say is this, is that, man, there was a very sizable black population in Mexico, especially following the end of the Civil War. It's a big migration down there.
There are black Mexicans. Yeah, there are. Yeah,
yeah, man. And if you've ever listened to Baby Bash, then you know what I'm saying. Then you know there's black Mexicans all day long. All right, so today we're talking about social housing and a whole bunch more, maybe the climate here and the appetite in social housing and who's supporting it. But first things first, I'll let you tell us a little bit about yourself and also what the Seattle Social Housing Developer is.
Yeah, so I have been in Seattle for about 8 years, worn a bunch of different hats, first as a journalist, as a professor at UW. I teach journalism there, and now this is my first comms job. I'm a director of comms, as you said, for the developer. Originally from Mexico, border area between Arizona and Mexico. Those are my roots.
Yeah, so now for everybody who was like, she was hanging out with the Mexicans, she was hanging out with her people.
I was hanging out with my people, exactly. And so, we at the developer, we are, just getting going in the city. It's a Seattle thing. It was passed. You've been a big supporter of us. It was first passed in 2023. The tax that allows us to build housing was passed only last year, and we just bought our first building, so we can talk about it all.
Yeah, no, you guys, you're on the come up. And actually, Meet Gil did have me super prepared for this, and so let me jump back into this right here. A lecturer at the University of Washington and a frequent freelance writer, Fowler has built an impressive career across media landscapes, previously as a producer and project manager at KEXP and as a social justice reporter for the local NPR station KNKX, where she contributed to award-winning team coverage recognized with a national Edward R. Murrow Award. Is this all correct?
That is correct.
Hey!
Hey, me might be a little biased, though, because he was one of my former students, and he got an A in my class, so.
I'm glad I read all that, man, because, you coming with receipts. We got to let people, this Mother's Justice show, we ain't got no randoms on here. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's talk about this here. Here we go. What is Seattle social housing development? You just kind of touched on it a little bit, but maybe you can start to lead up to it and then, the different iterations it took, and then we'll talk about the purchase.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work leading up to this first purchase. So some folks might be familiar with House Our Neighbors. It's a grassroots, organizing campaign. And they were, along with Real Change, which folks might be familiar with that too, paper with vendors that are, houseless, selling a paper. The advocacy director for Real Change, former advocacy director for Real Change, Tiffany McCoy, and House Our Neighbors got together and started this campaign for social housing. They were trying to figure out what is missing in the city. How can we make the housing situation better in the city? And they looked at different models, including in Europe, and they looked at what Vienna has been able to do, which is provide housing for the population there at a very low cost, and modeled it after what's happening there in Vienna, which kind of sounds wild because you think like, well, Vienna, that's really far away. How can we do what they're doing there? But it's also been modeled in different parts of the world, Maryland included, here in the U.S. And so they ran their campaign for 18 months. And there was some big tech companies that came out against the campaign. And people voted for it. It was at a special campaign in 2020, special election in 2023, and people said, the question was, do you want a developer to be formed, a PDA, a Public Development Authority, to be formed to create social housing in the city? And people overwhelmingly said yes. And so that was the first part that happened. Then it was a question of like, okay, well, how do we pay for this housing? And so again, another campaign and another special election in this past just last year, what people voted for was to have some of the biggest, wealthiest companies in the city. You're talking about Amazon, Microsoft, other big companies. Anybody who's paying their employees $1 million or more pays a 5% tax on that amount above $1 million. And that funds us. And so the original estimate was that we would get about $50 million, they thought, like for housing. And this is the first year that we're getting that tax money. And we actually came in at $130 million. That's how much we got, 133 to be exact. And that tells us, well, there's a lot of wealthy people in Seattle. And again, it's not the employees who are paying this tax. It's the employer who's paying the tax.
But also could be the consumer that's paying the tax, though.
Well, if they decide to, I don't know. I mean, you think, Microsoft has already figured out a way to pass the cost on to consumer, or they will?
I mean, that's the part of business. But anyways, that's a rate on that part of the parade. But so you guys got 100 and how much? 150?
133.
133. So before we go any further, man, what I'm saying, how can you reassure our listeners here that it's very capable people managing this $133 million that comes directly from some of the biggest employers in our city?
That we're managing the money?
Yeah, correctly.
Well, we've got a big team of folks, including a CFO, who is being audited. We are being audited. We actually went through our first audit. Both the city, we have to answer to both the city and the state with an audit. We also, are working. We're independent of the city, but we do work in collaboration on certain things with the city council and with the mayor. And I want to emphasize that we're independent because I think we have to work with the city council and the mayor, whether it's Katie Wilson, as we have now, or Bruce Harrell, as we had before. We're, purposely independent because I think housing should be,
But you got a mayor now that's all gung-ho for what you're doing, right? And didn't not you per se, but didn't others who support this cause, they kind of, villainize Bruce Harrell or maybe villainize himself because he was positioned as being against this.
Right. He was. And I would agree with that assessment. He was hesitant about it. He worried about us, I think, being responsible for that much money. He wanted a more modest amount to go to us, and that's what he and others proposed during the election. There was 2 options for funding the developer, 1A and 1B. 1B, which is what I think Harrell was behind, and others were behind who wanted a more modest amount to go to the developer, lost. I mean, the people voted, and they went for 1A. He was hesitant, but I will say, to be fair, he ended up giving him and the city council ended up working with the developer and lending us $2 million until we got this tax money. And so all eyes are on us. We know every cent that we spend, people are watching. And so we have a CFO now in place who is, ultra conservative with like any amount of money that we're spending. And it's a public agency and we should be under scrutiny. And so, we have a board meeting every Thursday, present our financials. Anybody can go to the board meeting and look at our financials, hear a discussion about it, and decide for themselves whether or not we're spending it responsibly.
Right. And so now fundamentally, the Seattle, the housing developer, you guys got to come up with a cool name for that.
we are
Thunder.
We
you know what I'm saying? Anvil.
we had tried to shorten it at one point and just call us Seattle Social Housing. And it just wasn't. We're owning the nerdiness of the developer and the wonkiness of the developer. We are not sexy. We're not. We're nerdy. We're wonky. We're building housing. That's what we're doing.
And so, I think when a lot of people first heard this, they heard exactly build. But the first thing that you guys did was not build, was buy, right?
Exactly.
And so what are the overall objectives? I mean, I guess the overall objective is to provide housing, but when you guys are game planning over there, why was it okay, let's make a purchase the first thing?
Yeah, simply because building takes some time, right? The permit process in the city is a mess, takes forever, takes longer than it should.
You guys know them people?
Believe me, we will try to, but the permitting process takes a long time, and we are in the process of negotiating with labor, with unions. We are planning on using union labor for our construction, so details like that have to be ironed out. We are planning to announce our construction sites soon, at least a couple of them. There's about 4 of them that are kind of in the works right now, and we'll probably announce a couple of them soon. But, realistically, the first construction isn't going to go until, it's not going to be ready until 2028 at the earliest. So that's a few years from now. So in the meantime, we're buying. And, our director of acquisitions, James Mayton, He's all for it because he says we can get really good prices right now on buildings.
I was about to say, now's the time. You listen, man. You can put up another $100 million. You guys can buy Columbia Tower. I think it's valued now. It's $280 million. You know what I'm saying? 76 stories.
Yeah.
Everything's cheap in Seattle right now, as far as buildings.
Yeah, we're getting. You can get really good prices on buildings right now, and nice buildings. Grade A buildings, buildings that don't even need rehab work.
It's real interesting. I want to play this soundbite here, but it's real interesting though that the reason that buildings are cheaper, is because a lot of these people who were here working in these big companies that you talk about, Microsoft and Amazon, have been laid off or fired or their job eliminated. And so now buildings are cheaper, but it's that same kind of people as well that this tax. You get what I'm saying?
We're taxing those folks.
Yeah.
Well, we're not. We're again.
I know you're not taxing them directly.
Yeah.
But it's in the same ecosystem is kind of what I'm saying.
Right. I would say that that's not the only reason that it's a good time to buy. I mean, I think traditional, and we can talk about this, it gets pretty wonky, but I think traditional affordable housing folks are having a hard time right now, especially under this administration. And when I say this administration, I mean the Trump administration. And so I think they're having a hard time. And so we've gotten approached by a lot of folks, housing folks, affordable housing folks that say, hey, we've got a good price on this building. You interested?
Yeah, they passing those federal credits along too. But before we get there, says last month you and your team held a press conference announcing Seattle's first social housing development. Now here's a short clip from Seattle Social Housing Developers interim CEO Tiffany McCoy.
The Seattle social housing developer is acquiring an apartment complex right next to world-class amenities. It's called Elara at the Market, and it's right next to our beloved Pike Place Market and our new waterfront park. It's currently a private asset, and we will be bringing it into public ownership.
All right, and so what does that look like? I mean, I think people get private, make it public, man, but what does that look like for actual somebody, a regular working stiff, a regular working Eric, to be able to move in to a place like that? What are the requirements? What's the threshold? All that kind of stuff. Because most people, when you talk about affordable housing, people who are familiar in that space, they know it's the MFTE, and it's got to be this. You can only make that. It's got to be like whatever, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it clearly works for some people, and some people it doesn't. So what's the hook on Elara to move in?
I can tell you about it. And by the way, I myself am a lifelong renter, never owned a home, probably never will own a home in Seattle. So, you know, I think, you know, it's important that people who work for the organization know what living life as a renter is like. But in any case, I don't know if you saw the headlines, but that announcement about Elara, we ended up getting, do you know how many applicants we got for that?
I heard it's like 10,000.
10,000 people applied. And that was mostly 7,000 of those 10,000 were for the population we were targeting for this first building, which is 50% AMI or below.
And for people who might not be aware, explain AMI and what 50% AMI means.
So it's the area medium income, which in Seattle is high because of these tech workers that you're talking about. You know, we've got people, I mean, you see headlines in the Seattle Times all the time about like the average salary in Seattle being something like, you know, like 140K or whatever it is. Yeah. You know, it's high. It's high. And so the area medium income is high. And so but 50 to, you know, percent AMI and below, I mean, you're talking about, you know, 60,000 and below, you know, somewhere around there. That was the majority of applicants, and that's who we are welcoming to move into the building first. Now, when you're talking about, like, you know, what do they have to do? They had to fill out an application online. There was no, like, you know, like you didn't have to present your, W-2 or anything like that. It was, like, really basic. And now we're going through the process of verifying folks and seeing if they can move in.
It's called a lease up. You're doing a lease up right now. So I had a lease up process like at Liberty Bank building and a few other buildings. And so now you got to go through it. But to actually submit an application, you tell them like, hey, this is our criteria for submitting, you know. And yeah, you know, it's crazy because there's so many people who live in poverty in this city, and it's wild, right? poverty line. And when we be thinking of poverty, a lot of times people are thinking about people out on the street or soup kitchen or this and that. But Seattleites have become so good at surviving poverty that it looks like they're starving extravagantly. And those people who wake up every day and work all these jobs and starve extravagantly, people don't even realize that they're actually subsisting in poverty-like circumstances and situations here in the Emerald City, where so many people are 3-4 months behind, a City Light. And if you know the City Light, for people who still get bills, the regular bills, the white envelope, the yellow bill is like, you need to do
You're
something.
in trouble.
And the red envelope means, man, you need to make a phone call. When you can be around so many people who know the tricks and the trades and the hacks that just try to stay connected to utilities, to try to stay connected to food, to try to stay connected to so many different things and necessities here in life in the city of Seattle, then we realize there's a lot of people, man, they're living in poverty. And it's just not recognized here because the same person living in poverty knows how to go thrift shopping and they go Goodwill hunting. And so now they look great. But, it's a real unique thing about this city of how many poor people are disguised because they're starving extravagantly. And like $60,000, and you said that's for a household, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. You know how many people? I know so many people.
Well, I know a lot of people. And this is something that we feel really passionately about with social housing is that it is for people at the lowest, at 30% AMI, but it's also for that middle group that, as you say, might be disguised living in poverty. Yeah. People who, and think about it, it's not just, skipping meals and that sort of thing. It's having to worry about every single paycheck. It's having to worry about, are you going to be able to pay utilities that month? That kind of thing.
Can you go to the doctor because you can't even afford the copay?
Exactly.
There's so many things that you know what I'm saying, that come into play. I just think that like poverty, people living in poverty or close to poverty in Seattle is very much disguised in plain sight. Just like a lot of people don't realize that the friend who asked to crash at their house this week and gave you some excuse, man, they're houseless.
Right.
They're couch surfing. They're also unhoused, even though they can go and crash at on your couch or another couch. And so we don't even think about them as being impacted by not being able to afford housing in our city, or because, it's the homie, he's just crashing on the couch this week and it might be another couch the next week. But the things that we visually can see, maybe like most people in most cities, are the things we're most reactive around. Not trying to get off subject too much, but when you talk about this issue around affordability and poverty and being able to pay, it's like, man, Converge makes great things about poor people because we are poor people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We're not in the ivory tower up here being like, ooh, how can we produce a segment here about, people barely getting by in the Central District. We barely getting by in the Central District. Yeah, so these are near and dear issues to us.
Yeah. And there's a lot of arts folks who are barely getting by. I used to work at KXP. Is not going to be happy about me saying this, but I used to work at KXP, and there are a lot of people there who are just getting by. It's, it is what it is. That was the truth there. And, journalists don't make a lot. And there's a lot of folks in that middle category who have to worry about each paycheck and might, like you say, hey, they turned down your dinner invite. Maybe they can't afford going out to dinner that day.
Yeah.
And so they're not actually busy, but no, I can't afford, joining you for a happy hour. I'm sorry. I'm watching my dollars. I've been in that situation. So, yeah.
So somebody, I think it might be a distinction that's important to make then, is like, what are some of the disqualified? Like right now, when we hear housing in the city of Seattle, and affordable housing, a lot of times is intrinsically tied to like this homelessness issue that like we're facing, and then people talk about housing first over treatment first. And are you even in that whole ecosystem? This is basically just like anywhere else. You go to rent.com or something, and here's your developer.
Yeah, we are not a supportive housing provider. We're not in that space. So we're not going to be somebody who's providing treatment to folks or other kinds of services to folks. And people do have to have our studios for this first building that we got, if you're at the lowest income bracket, one studio costs $665, which is a good price, but you still have to make 2.5 times that. So, which is still a very low amount for per month if you do the math, right? But you have to make some money. You have to be able to pay rent. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to pay rent, and there's a certain level of we do a sex offender check, and then those are the two main criteria. We do look at some payment history, but you don't have to have any certain kind of like credit score or anything like that. It's meant to be low barrier. And then, if you show that you can pay rent and then you're in. And again, the pricing is, our studio starts at $665. And the pricing is deliberately low, so there's more folks who can qualify. And we're going to keep, tweaking that. If right now we're just getting going, but if we can make it even lower barrier, we'll do that in time. But this is our first building.
So is there a mandate or anything in the number of housing units that you guys are supposed to provide, put on the market, or supply by a specific date?
We came up with numbers. We are aiming to have at least 300 acquired units by this year. This first building at Pike Place is 150. So that we're halfway through our goal. We are looking.
But some are occupied, right? How's that work?
Some are occupied. Most are occupied right now. And we're encouraging folks to stay. I mean, I don't know if you heard the other part of our announcement, but for the folks who are already there, we're providing a rent freeze. So their rent is not going to go up for the next 2 years. We're getting rid of RUBS fees, those hidden fees that you sometimes pay with utilities. We're getting rid of that. And we're getting rid of some other fees like, a fee for bike storage and that sort of thing. And so we want people to stay. We're totally anti-displacement. We're not kicking anybody out. And so, for folks who move in at low income and maybe you get a big raise, you get a big promotion, great. We don't want you to move. You might have to pay more in rent, but we're not going to kick you out of the building. So that's why our model is all the way from like very low income to 120 percent AMI or plus, which is people making a very good amount of money. And there are people in that building. I mean, I met some of the residents. They're making they're making good money, and they're going to be living with folks who are lower income, and that is a big part of our model of what we believe in. We don't believe in separating lower income folks into certain buildings and higher income folks into other buildings. We want everybody deserves a nice quality of life.
Yeah. I mean, no, this is true. I definitely agree with that. But does that like blur the line as to like, an actual like an ideology? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, what if you're rich and balling out and you don't want to be around no poor people? Or what if you're poor and you're like, nah, man, I don't want to be. I'm just, this is real deal. You know what I'm saying?
I'm more sympathetic to the latter, like the poor people who want to be around rich folks.
You're not sympathetic to the ballers?
No, I'm not at all. What's so scary about poor people? I grew up around poor people all my life.
Listen, I'm still poor. I don't think I'm scary. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, we're having a fantastic conversation here with my guest, Lilly Ana Fowler, who's the Director of Communications and Public Relations for Seattle social housing developer. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, the conversation continues. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show right here on 1150 AM KKNW.
Hey, y'all. It's time we take care of what's ours. The Black Legacy Homeowners Hub is now open at the McKinney Center, a safe space to learn, connect, and protect our family homes. Whether you're fixing up your house, passing it down, or just trying to hold on, we've got real people, real help, and real answers waiting for you. So come on by. Drop in between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at the McKinney Center on 21st and Jackson. Let's keep our legacy strong together.
Looking for media that truly represents us? Converge Media is where culture meets truth. Seattle's leading Black-owned media network, bringing you powerful stories, local news, and conversations that matter. From the morning update show to groundbreaking community coverage, Converge shines a light on the voices that shape our city, our leaders, our artists, our families. Stay informed, stay inspired, stay connected at whereweconverge.com. That's whereweconverge.com. Converge Media, telling our stories, our way. Being a Black homeowner in the Pacific Northwest comes with questions, and you don't have to find the answers alone. Black Homeowner Magazine is your trusted source for support, education, and community, helping you protect your home, your equity, and your generational legacy. Inside every issue, you'll find real stories, expert guidance, and local resources, all designed to keep Black homeowners informed, connected, and rooted right here in the Pacific Northwest. Because ownership is more than property, it's community. Black Homeowner Magazine, where ownership meets community. When our children aren't safe, none of us can rest. Mothers for Police Accountability has been standing on the front lines for decades, demanding justice, truth, and transparency in Seattle. But we can't do it alone. We need you, parents, students, neighbors, to join us. Volunteer, speak up, be part of the movement that keeps our communities safe and our voices heard. Visit mothersforpoliceaccountability.org. That's mothersforpoliceaccountability.org. And stand with the mothers who never stop fighting for what's right. Mothers for Police Accountability. Love in action for justice.
Tech, health, politics, design, and more. We cover a lot on Alternative Talk 1150.
All right, welcome back to the Mother's Justice Show right here on 1150 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, the Big O, and man, big shout outs to our producer, Eric. He always got that good music playing. Hey, it always brings the listener back to a nice, comfortable space. Picking back up the conversation today with Lilly Ana Fowler, Director of Communications and Public Relations for Seattle Social Housing Developer. There's a new developer on the block. You know what I'm saying? They making it happen. Whether they buying buildings, 60 million, nothing. Take that. You know what I'm saying? Or they buying up land and they gonna be cutting, doing ribbon cuttings and all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, are you guys excited? What's the momentum like down there?
We're really excited. We've got people who are so passionate about the mission. I mean, let me tell you, I was a journalist. I still consider myself a journalist for 20 years, though. I would not be doing comms for just anybody. I am really bad at writing things that I don't believe in. So we've got, an org full of passionate people. Tiffany, our interim CEO, has been with the movement since the beginning. I mean, she can talk your ear off about social housing. And yeah, we're excited. I mean, as I was saying, 300 units for this year is our goal. We're probably going to go above that. We've got a few buildings in mind. And then we are thinking, new construction. We're aiming for new construction to be ready by 2028, but we're going to be announcing that, soon.
That's what's up. What has the response been like? I know initially when it's some people might have been against when it came time to vote for this, but it's once people saw that the baby was coming, you know what I'm saying, and this was gonna happen. What's kind of the response been around other maybe government stakeholders or even other developers? Because it's now you're here, you feel me, and you're making moves. What's the reaction out on the streets with you guys?
That's been my attitude. We're here now, so get in line or don't bother us. But you'd be surprised. We've gotten both people from all over the country are watching what's happening in Seattle with social housing. We've gotten calls from California, from Chicago, from Denver, folks all over the country trying to do what we're doing here in Seattle, which is build social housing. We're unique because we've got this big tax, and we've got a lot of people in Seattle with money, these big companies that we can tax. But there are other people across the country who are trying to do what we're doing. And so they're calling us for advice. We got that side of things. And then we've got the side, say, we've met with, the Downtown Association, that sort of thing.
What? John Scholes, he was on you, huh? He's trying to crack the whip.
Who will, to our face is very nice and says, well, you're here now.
He's hella pleasant.
Yeah. And then, but then I see like a quote from him in some paper or something about, putting down taxes.
Said he got his masters to serve too.
Exactly. So, no hard feelings or anything, but the reality is what you say. Like, we are here. We are a reality now in Seattle. Social housing is a reality in Seattle now. There's no denying that. We've got our first building. I do think there's a lot of people kind of in the middle, too, who are rooting for us, but still skeptical. And I think are going to remain so until we've got some more buildings under our belt and until we've built something.
You want some feedback from me?
Sure. I
think that a lot of people connect the social housing with supportive housing. And I think that's one thing, because everybody I've kind of talked to just, informally about this, they're already being like, oh, well, it's about time that they build housing for guys on the street. You see what I'm saying? Or they're like, man, I can't believe, you feel me? And so I don't know. I think over time there might be some kind of separation in communications. I'm sure that you guys are all for supportive housing, but you're actually offering a different service.
Right. And there is a lot of confusion about that still, and it will take time. We are meant to be additive. We are totally in support of folks out there providing supportive housing and other kinds of affordable housing. All solutions are needed. So we are not intending to take away from anybody. We're additive. And I do think there needs to be a lot of education still about who we are and who we are serving. We got 10,000 applicants, as I mentioned. And a lot of folks, I had people without homes in Illinois writing to us saying like, hey, you got something for me? I'll move out to Seattle.
So one question then, excuse me, right there. I got so many questions for you, but I'll just start with that one. More people, if you build it, they will come.
I don't think that's really true. I think that's a very small. I use that as an example, but to tell the people that we are serving are people who live and work in Seattle. Right. I told that person that's not the way this works. This is not,
Oh, man, that person got Photoshopped. They gonna have a pay stub from the donut shop and everything for you. Am I lying here?
This is for. If they're. No, this is for people who live and work in Seattle. And the same, we got a lot of women writing to us who are fleeing, domestic violence situations, who are asking, what we have for them, that kind of thing. Again, we have our criteria. It is meant to be low barrier, but we are not a service provider, and you do have to pay your rent.
And just, there you go. You hear that? You got to pay your rent. Don't be acting up either. You know what I'm saying? Now, just going back to this 10,000, man, how are you guys sorting through that? And is it a lottery? Is it first come, first serve?
It's a lottery right now. Yeah, it's a lottery. And it's, people picked at random out of those 10,000, and now we're in the process of verifying those folks and seeing if they can move in.
And then for every person that falls off because they don't qualify, then there's another name that comes out of the lottery.
Right. Pool. But it's a small number of people that we're picking for now, and then the rest of the folks will remain on the wait list.
A lease up? When we did a lease up over at Liberty Bank building, as a matter of fact, that was the first affirmative marketing building there in Seattle, there on 24th and Union, and it was targeting people who could show a direct connection that they had been displaced or family member displaced from the Central District. So, you know what I'm saying, if you were just kind of like new to Seattle or lived in Kent or just moved out here, it's like, yeah, you could still like enter, but like you weren't in the main lottery. You were in the auxiliary lottery. And so many people hit that when they opened the phone lines on it, because it was a phone-in thing, the phone lines crashed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was only like 4,000 people in the first 30 minutes. And it crashed the phone lines, and we had to do a whole bunch of stuff on it. And it just tells you the demand that people are, actually looking for housing in this city. But it's good to know that it is like a lottery process, and it's not like, I'm gonna call my peoples.
No, not at all. I have no idea even the people right now who are being vetted. We will find out. I'll find out tomorrow. But yeah, there's none of that. And, as much as I say you got to pay your rent, there's this, it is supposed to be low barrier. And we do have, remember Nikita? Mm-hmm. They are working on on some residence governance policies, and we will have, steps to outline for.
That's cool because Nikita know how to box. So Nikita can sit right there in the Elara building, and then somebody get out of line. It's either like, hey, listen, you either go tighten up or you're going to have to go talk to Nikita.
What I was going to say is.
Oh, no. Nikita's taking a different approach. Okay.
Yeah. There will be some restorative justice, modeled in there. And so that people will have an opportunities to correct behavior that doesn't line up with the lease or doesn't line up with our policies.
Yeah, we've all had a loud bender every once in a while and, probably woken up the neighbors. And, it can be corrected for the most part. Sometimes people want to smoke their stuff indoors.
Weed is legal. Weed is legal. That's not an issue.
You can smoke inside?
Well, I don't know what I heard.
You didn't know that was a fact. We'll keep that between us. Nobody was. We got you. Let's see here. All right. So, real quick before I move on to the next thing here. Now, this is a luxury apartment too, right? What are some of the amenities there? Come on. This is now the upsell. Let's do this thing.
Okay, I will argue though with the use of the word luxury. Everybody's calling this place luxury. What? I've been in this building. It's nice. Don't get me wrong. It is a nice building. But luxury? I mean, I'm not, like.
That's cool. We're going to take you on a tour of the hood. and then, does it have a pool?
No.
Does it have
it has a rooftop.
Can you barbecue on the rooftop?
Yes.
Does it have a workout room?
Yes. Bike storage. You know what?
Is it connected with fiber?
You know what I think is the most luxurious thing about this building?
The location.
Exactly.
So it's luxury.
You're right by Pike Place. You're right by the waterfront. That is luxurious to me. Yes, I'll admit that.
Listen, if somebody was telling their friends, like, yeah, listen, man, I got this spot. It's just like luxury apartment condo kind of situation right downtown. A few blocks from where they throw the fish. You seen them throw the fish, right? They'd be like, oh, say word, really?
Yeah. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Listen, come on, you a communications person. Let's go.
I'll give you that. No, but some people use luxury as you're buying expensive buildings. Maybe these people don't deserve that. I think they deserve it. I think all people deserve a nice place to live.
Man, don't let nobody co-opt that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, man, people deserve nice things.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And yeah, man, people deserve nice things. And that's a really dope luxury spot a few blocks from Pike Place Market. It's overlook the historic Puget Sound. Like, man, let me know, man. Let me know if you want to get conversion there and make some TV commercials for you or something. We'll communicate. Hey, look, we're going to take a quick break right now, and we're going to talk about upcoming trip that you guys are taking to Vienna, right?
Vienna, yeah.
All right, this is my guest, Lilly Ana Fowler. She is the Director of Communications and Public Relations for Seattle Social Housing Developer. We'll take a quick one. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show.
Looking for media that truly represents us? Converge Media is where culture meets truth. Seattle's leading Black-owned media network, bringing you powerful stories, local news, and conversations that matter. From the morning update show to groundbreaking community coverage, Converge shines a light on the voices that shape our city, our leaders, our artists, our families. Stay informed, stay inspired, stay connected at whereweconverge.com. That's whereweconverge.com. Converge Media, telling our stories, our way.
Hey, y'all. It's time we take care of what's ours. The Black Legacy Homeowners Hub is now open at the McKinney Center, a safe space to learn, connect, and protect our family homes. Whether you're fixing up your house, passing it down, or just trying to hold on, we've got real people, real help, and real answers waiting for you. So come on by. Drop in between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at the McKinney Center on 21st and Jackson. Let's keep our legacy strong, together.
When our children aren't safe, none of us can rest. Mothers for Police Accountability has been standing on the front lines for decades, demanding justice, truth, and transparency in Seattle. But we can't do it alone. We need you, parents, students, neighbors to join us. Volunteer. Speak up. Be part of the movement that keeps our communities safe and our voices heard. Visit mothersforpoliceaccountability.org. That's mothersforpoliceaccountability.org. And stand with the mothers who never stop fighting for what's right. Mothers for Police Accountability. Love in action for justice. Being a Black homeowner in the Pacific Northwest comes with questions, and you don't have to find the answers alone. Black Homeowner Magazine is your trusted source for support, education, and community, helping you protect your home, your equity, and your generational legacy. Inside every issue, you'll find real stories, expert guidance, and local resources, all designed to keep Black homeowners informed, connected, and rooted right here in the Pacific Northwest. Because ownership is more than property, it's community. Black Homeowner Magazine, where ownership meets community.
No other station delivers this much variety. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to the Mother's Justice Show right here on 1150 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, the Big O, and sitting here today with Lilly Ana Fowler, Director of Communications and Public Relations for Seattle social housing developer. They just had some big news. Man, they just bought a building. It's the Elara.
Elara at the market.
Yeah, Elara at the market. It's at the market, too. You know they try to make a statement with that because you know that there was probably some building somewhere in some tucked-away neighborhood with no access to good transit or anything they could have picked up, too. But they were like, man, number one, we're making a statement.
Exactly. We're making a statement. We're in Seattle. We're right by Pike Place, iconic Pike Place Market, the new waterfront park. It's beautiful. I don't care what. I mean, I love that area of Seattle, and we're here now. There's no getting rid of us at this point.
Look at gang. Like, yeah, we up in here. All right. Well, you're here today, but pretty soon it sounds like you're going to be going to Vienna with House Our Neighbors and legislators. What's the purpose of this trip? I was just in Austria like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I was actually speaking over there and in Germany and other stuff. Yeah.
What'd you think? I've never been.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, man, Europe's nice. I used to work over there extensively, but I'm also a lot of times I'm skeptical when people are like, "Oh, this works in Europe" or "This works," because sometimes it's apples and oranges, man. Sometimes you're dealing with a homogeneous society. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, this works great in Finland or Iceland. Okay, well, man, let's see if this works in a place where there's 100 different cultures all in somewhere in the same area or scale. You know what I'm saying? Like most European countries, like, smaller than Washington State, you could actually drive all the way across Europe in like a day. And then, the way that the policy and lawmaking and legislature works there and also tax base. So there's a lot of different. So the concepts in some of these places are great, but do they translate over here?
Right.
Long answer to your question of how it was cool. You know what I'm saying? I enjoyed it and I kicked it. That being said, you guys are heading over there.
We're heading over there. I've never been, but House Our Neighbors has done this trip before. And it's a couple of people from the developer, but also legislators and other people who are interested in social housing, find out about what they're doing in Vienna and seeing what makes sense to, bring over here. So, we're meeting from anybody from like people with PhDs and city leaders to just residents of social housing there. But, one of the things, I actually have a former neighbor, one of my best friends, moved out to Vienna recently to work for the UN there. And she lived here, and now she's there, and I'm here, and I'm going over there to bring some of what's over there over here. And we get that question a lot about, like, well, what makes you think that what is happening there can translate in Seattle?
Yeah, because some stuff does, some stuff just don't.
Yeah. And to me, and I don't know how you felt when you first heard about social housing, but I was not involved in the campaign. I was a voter, though. I voted twice for social housing. And to me, when I heard about it and what they were trying to do, which is build housing at scale that's publicly owned and permanently affordable, to me, it didn't sound radical. It didn't sound like out there. It just sounded like, yeah, of course, that makes sense.
Right. And so for us, some of us might have been skeptical because some of us went through this before. And let me tell you, and they didn't go to Vienna for this, and I'm not saying that in a sarcastic way.
Yeah.
But if you grew up here in Seattle, We had social housing. And guess what? We sold it off. It was called Rainier Vista. It was called Holly Park. It was called Yesler Terrace, which was sold over there to Paul Allen, which was public housing. Now, this wasn't the nice part. We considered them, they were the projects or whatever. But there was low barrier entry housing here in Seattle. And we were one of the first cities in America in that sense of the scale that we had here. You know what I'm saying? And then the city sold out poor people and sold everything off and all these other things. It's like I said, Yesler Terrace is a perfect example. So social housing has existed in Seattle before, where it was taxpayer. It wasn't off a direct tax from like Amazon or whoever, but it was off of tax dollars and probably some grants or whatever, where we had low entry housing for people who had to work and, pay their rent, not act up and everything else. And so, I know you guys are talking about it in a more robust way, but like for us here, we saw social housing and then we saw the city sell it off and tell poor people to figure themselves out.
Well, let me ask you this. Was that housing mixed income?
Man, I don't know, but I do know that the housing. So hold on. Let me actually answer your question better. Define mixed income real quick. We only got a few minutes left.
Well, because, see, we're not trying to recreate the projects, and I hate to use that word, and we're not trying to segregate poor people from rich people. We're trying to do exactly the opposite of that. We want lower income people to live with higher income people, and for higher income people to be able to subsidize the rents for lower income people, so we charge lower income people less. And so we're not trying to do what happened before.
So I will tell you this, though. For the people who got displaced, who now maybe are way out in South King County or somewhere else, I asked them if they were minded who they lived with. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to now living 30 miles out to sea. I know you weren't involved in these decisions, and I like the route you're going, by the way. I'm just saying that, like, Seattle was here. And you know what? Seattle bowed to rich developers. You know what I'm saying? And they had a vision, and some of these places have been redeveloped, and they were nice. But I just want people to know that this is something that we used to have here before, and it's a bit different because that was safety net housing, but it was still housing for people who work hard and just need a break, and and housing in their situation. But let me see right here. This is actually a good question to wrap up on here. And as a radio person yourself, we got to be off by 59. All right, I still got to give an outro. But where do you and the Seattle Social Housing Development Team see yourself in the next 5 years? What are your production goals? And right after that, make sure and tell people how they can keep up with you.
Yeah, so we are aiming to have over 1,000 acquired units in 5 years and more than 600 newly constructed units in the next 5 years. And 10 years out, we're looking at a couple thousand. But those are the 5-year goals that we have. And as I said, we're aiming to have not only like low-income folks live in these units, but higher-income folks, and there being a mixed-income communities.
Yeah, kumbaya. Hey.
There's no reason it shouldn't work. That's my feeling. As I said, I am already in my head constructing an opposite, saying, thinking about like what is so wrong, what is so scary about living with poor people.
Yeah, let me know. We might work on that together.
Because I think there's some of the skepticism is coming from people not being willing to go out their go out of their comfort zone.
We've been sold a false bill of goods. Because when people talk about, see, what's respectable is if you say you have middle class values. Like, these are people with strong middle-class value. Guess what they were a generation ago? Those were poor people. And those same poor people values, people were able, the ones that had boots, to actually use the bootstraps to pull themselves up through. So I'm a firm believer in what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Like real deal. When I was a speaker at Solid Ground, their main speaker 2 years ago, and I said, man, that being poor is not a crime.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking the same thing. Listen, real quick, I got to let you tell people how they can get up with the developer.
Sure. You can go to our website, seattlesocialhousing.org, sign up for our newsletter there, or you can go. We are very active on Instagram, on Blue Sky, and on LinkedIn.
Yeah, ain't no X out here, man. Blue sky. All right. Lilly Ana Fowler, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we get ready to get out of here. Letting you know you can always catch up with me at Omari Sal, OMARISAL, across all social media platforms. And also make sure and check us out at whereweconverge.com. Press that donate button. Keep a brother active on the air. Until next week at 2 p.m. We gone. Peace.